Now, as Gareth quite rightly says, all party parliamentary groups are by definition consisting of all parties, bringing people together and uniting. Unfortunately, as he's quite rightly said, the communication about this all-party group I don't think has been terribly helpful because it has created some divisions within the community. Now, I count myself an honorary Gujarati, having been at school with Gujaratis when people first arrived in the United Kingdom, and I've grown up with them. So I understand the community, I hope the community understand me. And when Gareth said he wanted to start this all-party group, I said, fine, we must do it, we must make sure it is seen to be a cross-party basis and not a front for any particular political group. And that is the basis on which we have agreed to move forward. So I was in Gujarat 2 weeks ago, saw the Chief Minister and said that we were going to be setting up this all-party group. I have to say the Chief Minister of Gujarat and his team welcomed setting up this all-party group. Now, clearly what we are looking at is Gujaratis are, by definition, the economic powerhouse of this country right now. You believe in education, in your children becoming better than you have been. You believe in law and order, more likely to be the victims of crime than actually committing crime. It's the lowest population per capita in prisons in our country. So clearly, this is an important part of the community. The one criticism I always have, you don't speak up enough. You don't speak loudly enough. And clearly, from the state of Gujarat, we have Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims, Jews, Christians, Buddhists, people of all religions. And we must bring people together on that basis. Equally, as Gareth said, we don't want to do. We've got an all-party group for India. That's the political end of the United Kingdom interacting with the government of India. We've got a group that deals with trade with India. So we don't want to intrude on that. But think, Gujaratis in this country are ageing. They have health conditions, health requirements. We have people that are getting elderly and need care. We've got people that are wanting to pass on their businesses and such like. So that is the sort of issue that we want to take up. So between Gareth and others, we want to make sure those issues get raised in Parliament. And so the silent majority of Gujaratis actually get properly represented and we act as your voice. That is the purpose. And indeed, I think one of the concerns I've had, and we should, when we're talking about this, we must be open and honest about this. The Indian High Commission does not want to deal with a separate all-party group for every single Indian state. Frankly, they don't have the manpower to do it. So we've got to be very careful and cautious in the way we approach this. To say, this is truly what we are calling the living bridge between Gujarat and the UK, because you are all the living bridge. We seek to represent all of you in the right way that you would wish to do. So, unfortunately, as I said, and I'm not being critical of Gareth, but you can be critical quite easily. The communication of setting this up has not been brilliant, I have to say, and there have been mixed messages about dividing the community and so on. That is not our purpose. Frankly, I would not get involved were that to be the purpose, because it is all about bringing people together and making sure that the voice is heard on a united basis. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us make sure that that is what we set out to achieve. I've had I had a whistle-stop tour around India 2 weeks ago. 4 centres in 6 days. Not easy. My body's still adjusting to the time, as you can imagine. And indeed, it's been hectic. So I think that this is something that's welcome across the board between India and ourselves. As I say, we must proceed cautiously and appropriately. Now, one of the great demands of the community was always about getting a crematorium. Wasn't it, Just?
Yeah.
Well, that's on the course to being delivered. And I think that's something that we are very proud of collectively, that we've achieved in the end. And I think that's something that we can start to say, this is a demand, this is a requirement of the community. bring it forward so that people will understand what we're trying to do and why. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes?
Could we hear something from you and Gareth about how can we see more Gujaratis as councillors and members of parliament? Because this is not being done.
You tempt me to point out we have a Prime Minister of Indian origin. We had a Chancellor of Indian origin. We also had a Chancellor of Muslim origin. We had the first Home Secretary of Hindu Gujarati, and indeed we now have a Buddhist Home Secretary. So we are, the government is embracing, we have an Environment Secretary, of course, of Indian origin. So we are making great strides in that regard. I'd say, the Labour Party could do better, but you asked for it, so I'm afraid. but the key is that one of my concerns is that often people from this community want to get on with their lives, they want to earn money, they want to get on with their lives, make sure their children get a good education, and when they think of, I'd like to stand for election, they come along literally the day before nominations close. So I think the message to all of you is, obviously I would like you to become involved in the Conservative Party. Gareth would love you to get involved in the Labour Party, but please don't be deluded. And there'll be others that will want you to get involved in the Liberal Democrats, the Greens, whatever. But I think the central message is get involved in the party and then work your way up. Because certainly when I started as a Brent councillor, some 1986, should we say the Conservative group of Brent Council was hardly representative of the people that lived in Brent. By the time I finished, half of the Conservative group were of different origins, shall we say, and different colours. The same is true in Harrow, where we've transformed the Conservative Party in Harrow in a positive way to reflect the communities that we all seek to represent. And I think, to be fair, the Labour Party has done the same over the years. So the key here is get involved early. Get involved young. If you want to become a member of Parliament, unless you're lucky like Gareth and just had to come in on a wave in 1997, it's a long, hard journey to become a member of Parliament. And if you don't get involved young, then the likelihood is that you probably won't make it. So to all of you, yes, we want to see more Gujaratis in Parliament. Why not? People that are an inspiration throughout this country. And so if you want to get involved, please contact us, please speak to us, and we'll find a way. But this is a cross-party group, bringing people together, not dividing them on politics. And it's all about the achievements of the community overall. So let us join together and say with one voice, and say to to the press, to our friends in the community, we've come together to make this all-party group. But by definition, the all-party group is MPs and peers. But it also embraces the whole community. Unless we bring people together in this way, people will seek to divide. And that is something we do not want to see happen at all. Go on then, you.
Gareth, can I ask one question? How do we galvanise and keep the momentum going for this AAPG? Because I think that's the important part. Gareth and I have actually spoken about this. Health, economy, the elderly, all of that. How do we galvanise it? Push it forward.
Well, clearly we need to discuss this, but I would say to you it's very simple. We need to concentrate on those areas and not try and go off into other areas that people talked about. Gareth talked about this at the beginning. What we're going to do is make sure we are concentrating on the things that matter to the wider community in that respect and lay out our messages right across the board.
But I just wanted to point something out to people. You mentioned bringing the community together, listening to them, understanding their needs and so on. But the vast majority of organizations of national review have actually written directly to yourself, to Gareth, to the AAPG to say, this is unwanted. None of them were actually consulted. None of them actually knew what was going on. There might be a few people who knew what was going on, but it's almost as if this was a clandestine operation done without the community being on board. You cannot bring a community on board when 95% of them are not even represented.
Listen, I absolutely agree with you, and that's why I say the communication, with respect, has not been great. Gareth acknowledged that earlier on. It's not been great with the communities. Personally, I think it would have been much better to have had, obviously, the conversations with all the organisations, but I tell you, that's tough, because one of the problems that exists in the Gujarati community often is an organisation will be set up, there'll be a difference of opinion, it splits up in another organisation, so we multiply the organisations, and actually, the community is not speaking with one voice. So let's see.
But this time it is speaking with one voice, and no one's.
Well, it's not fair to say